Hello, everybody. Today, I want to explore this idea through the development of this video. So, the question is, can empathy be used as a weapon? Can empathy be a weapon? And you want to think about this maybe as some type of magical talking to the subconscious type of process that we could potentially do. So, the way it works is that if you want someone to do something, you can, for example, access not their responsibility or your responsibility, but the circumstances, right? Like the third party, which is to blame. Like, let's say you're a teacher and someone's always late, and that person says, yeah, I'm late because of the traffic or because of this or whatever. Instead of blaming it on you or blaming it on the other person, like the way you can blame it on yourself is, or you being responsible is like, well, I'm not doing enough for you, my classes aren't that important for you, right? Like, it's my fault you're always late. And the way you can blame it on the other person or make the other person responsible is by saying, well, you need to organize your priorities, you need to be more responsible, you need to plan ahead of time, right? Even for the traffic. But instead of doing those two things, what you actually do is you use empathy, right? Now, I want to explore if this is possible. How can it be used as a weapon? Well, a weapon is something that makes people do something, right? So you're using it to basically have them change, right? It's ambitious, but I want to explore if it's possible. So what you would do in this type of situation is, okay, you're late. Why are you late? Because the person normally is not going to be responsible. People aren't really responsible in front of others unless they absolutely have to be. So they're going to blame it on some third party nonsense, right? The traffic, the weather, the circumstances, their childhood, whatever, right? But let's talk about being late. They may say there was an accident, the traffic, right? Now, why would you want to use it as a weapon? Well, there's empathy that's in itself the end goal, right? And then there's empathy as a means to achieve another goal, right? An ulterior intention. So when would you use one and when would you use the other one? If it's the person's first time being late and you know that person is responsible, right? You've seen that from experience that they're usually on time. You want to use empathy as a means, right? Not as a, I mean, sorry, you want to use empathy as the end goal, right? That's the intention, to be emphatic, right? To understand the other person. Okay, I understand you, right? The situation is exceptional, right? But if the person is consistently late and you know from experience that they're always late, then you want to use empathy as a means to achieve another goal, right? Is this possible? I don't know. That's what I'm exploring in this video. So you want to use empathy as a weapon, right? As a means to get to the goal of them being or them starting to be on time, right? So what are you going to do? Instead of blaming it on the other person or yourself, you're going to dig into that third party, right? The traffic, the weather, whatever, the circumstances, the accident. Okay. So, oh, really, right? And an easy way that you can do this, I've noticed, is just as Chris Voss says in his book, and I've seen it in a couple other places, but Chris Voss said it in his book. I don't remember the title of it right now, but it's on negotiation. Voss with a V, Voss. He says, just repeat like the last thing, like the last word or the last words that people said, and that will get them to open up more, right? Like sometimes you don't even have to ask them questions. So they'll tell you, I'm late because of the traffic. And you just say like, oh, the traffic, right? And they'll say, yeah, I mean, like there was an accident and it was chaotic. Oh, accidents, chaotic, but you obviously don't say it like, humoristically, like, oh, accidents, yeah, I mean, you could add some of it and then just like dig in there. So what you're gonna now this is where I'm kind of like in conflict with the idea, because if you establish empathy, right, as a weapon, and you expect the other person to change or make a change based on that empathy that you're displaying, because displaying empathy is hard work, right? You have to pay attention, you have to listen, you have to give your energy and your time to this person, right? For them to, at the end of the day, not even make a change, that's going to be frustrating, right? So I don't think you should maybe use it expecting great results, right? Like if you emphasize, let's say you sympathize with this person, you understand this person, you put yourself in that person's shoes, maybe even share an experience like, oh yeah, like once I was late because this happened, and it was chaotic, and I felt like this, and I felt stressed, and just get to talking a little bit about that, right? Like emphasize, share, mirror back their words, paraphrase maybe. So what you're saying is this happened. Wow, that's crazy, right? Like why? And maybe ask questions and whatever. Just see where that takes you, because maybe you may see results. I'm guessing like the next day or the next couple of days, maybe that person will make changes, right? And I'm using the example of being late because that's a very superficial example, but you can apply this to any type of situation, right? Like you want a person to change, but instead of saying like, is it my fault? Is it your fault? Let's look at the circumstances, right? It's your childhood. It's the way you were brought up. It's you know it's a third party. Like there's like, blame it on something else that's not your fault or my fault, right? Don't make it personal, make it impersonal, right? This happens to everybody, right? It's kind of like Alfred Adler, where he would take responsibility away from the person and then through therapy work back to bring it into that person, right? So let's say in this case it's not our fault, it's the circumstances, it's the third party, right? And emphasize on that, like, oh, I understand you, because and share, because once that happened to me and this happened and I felt like this, how did you feel? And that maybe is supposed to tap into their subconscious. Now again, I'm going to repeat this, don't expect great results, right? Like just do it as an exploration, like as an experiment to see what happens, because maybe that person will change. I mean, the worst thing that can come from it, I believe, is that you establish a good rapport with the person, so you're able to connect, and maybe that will lead you to, in the future, maybe give advice to the person, make a recommendation, right? Tell them, and they'll be maybe more open to listening to you and actually making and carrying out the changes, right? But I think it could be used as a weapon, fundamentally, so you can even get at that person through the empathy, right? And then eventually they'll be more open, like I just said, and they'll be able to effectuate the changes, right? So yeah, that's my take on this, developing this idea. Like I said, don't expect great results, because it could be that the person just takes that for free, right? And says, oh, thank you for emphasizing with me. It felt great. I feel good now. But I'm going to continue being the piece of shit I've been, right? And in that case, empathy didn't work, right? Not all weapons work all the time, right? You could say, I'm going to kill this person with my sword and they survive, or I'm going to shoot this person with my gun and they survive, right? Like weapons don't always work, right? But could it be used? I believe it could in that process, right? Try it out. Let me know what you guys think. If you tried it out, let me know what happened, and hit like, subscribe, all that shit, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.